All right, let's talk about our bodies, but not just diet and exercise. Today, we're going to pop the hood and see what's really going on with our nutrition. We're diving deep into the world of biochemical assessment. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had one of those days, or, maybe one of those weeks, where you just feel off? You're tired, you're sluggish, and you just can't quite put your finger on why. It's a super common feeling, right? Well, here's the thing. Your body is definitely sending you signals. It's kind of like the check engine light in your car. It lights up, and you know something is up, but it doesn't tell you what. Is it the oil? The transmission? Who knows? That little light is just too vague to be really helpful on its own. And that's exactly where biochemical nutrition comes into play. Think of it as our advanced diagnostic scan. We're not just looking at the dashboard warning lights anymore. Nope. We are plugging directly into the engine to get objective, hard data from inside the body itself. This is where it gets really interesting. On one side, you have the clues you can see and feel, your weight, maybe some signs on your skin, that kind of thing. But on the other side, you have what the data shows. These are biochemical tests. They're like an early warning system that can spot a nutrient problem long before you'd ever see or feel a thing. So, these diagnostic scans basically come in two main flavors. First up, you have what's called a static test. This is pretty straightforward. It's a direct measurement of a nutrient, like a vitamin or mineral, right there in your blood or tissue. The analogy is perfect. It's just like pulling out the dipstick in your car to check the oil level. Simple, direct. And then there is the second type, the functional test. This one goes a step further. It's not just checking the fluid level. It's measuring performance. It looks at a bodily function that actually depends on a specific nutrient to work right. So we're not just asking, is there gas in the tank? We're asking, is the engine running smoothly with that gas? Okay, theory is great, but let's see how these scans work in the real world. We're going to zoom in on one of the most critical systems in the whole engine, our protein status. How do we actually know if we're getting enough and if our body is even using it the right way? Well, one really powerful tool for this is something called the creatinine height index, or CHI. See, creatinine is a waste product that comes from our muscles. So the amount we get rid of is directly related to how much muscle we have. Basically, the CHI is a biochemical gauge for your body's muscle. So how does this gauge actually work? I know it sounds complicated, but it's really just 3 simple steps. First, you collect and measure all the creatinine you excrete in a full 24-hour period. Step 2, you look up the standard expected amount for someone of your height. And finally, you just divide your number by the standard one to get a percentage. And boom, that's your CHI. And reading the result is super easy. If your CHI is between 60 to 80%, that suggests you might have some mild protein depletion. 40 to 60% is moderate. And anything below 40%, well, that points to a pretty severe lack of muscle mass. It's a nice, clear gauge. Let's look at a real-life example to make it stick. There was a 30-year-old guy whose 24-hour sample was analyzed. After they ran the numbers, his CHI came back at 81.7%. So if we look back at our gauge, that's squarely in the normal range. Great news for him. It means he's got plenty of muscle mass and his protein status is looking good. Okay, another key protein diagnostic is called nitrogen balance. Here's the deal. Protein is packed with nitrogen. So by tracking the nitrogen going in and out, we can figure out if our body is in a building and repair phase or if it's in a breaking down phase. It's basically a simple balance sheet. If you're taking in more nitrogen than you're losing, that's a positive balance. Your body is building tissue. Awesome. But if you're losing more than you're taking in, that's a negative balance, which means you're breaking down. And if it's all equal, you're in equilibrium, just maintaining. So, for example, a sample calculation for one person showed a positive nitrogen balance of plus 3 grams. What does that actually tell us? It's a clear sign that their body is holding onto that nitrogen and using it for growth and repair. That is exactly what you want to see if you're recovering from an injury or, trying to build muscle. So, we have all these amazing diagnostic tools, right? But like any sophisticated piece of tech, sometimes they can get interference. Sometimes they even give a false alarm. And it's so important to understand their limitations. Which brings us to a really important question. Are these scans foolproof? Can we just take this one piece of data and assume it tells us absolutely everything we need to know? And the simple, honest answer is nope. Not always. You see, it's crucial to understand what can cause that engine interference. Things like inflammation or an infection can totally throw off the readings. Physical stress, even some medications, can change how your body handles nutrients. And of course, underlying conditions like kidney or liver problems, not to mention your age and gender, they all influence the results. It's not always just about what you're eating. And this is exactly why a single test, just one number from our fancy diagnostic scan, is never the full story. To get a truly accurate picture of what's going on, we have to assemble all the clues into a complete health report. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. A really good health assessment is like a thorough mechanics report. The biochemical tests, that's your forensic data from under the hood. A clinical exam is the mechanic's visual inspection. A dietary analysis is like checking the quality of the fuel you're putting in the tank. And anthropometric measurements, height, weight, things like that, are like measuring the car's frame and parts. So the biggest takeaway here is this. No single indicator is ever enough. A truly accurate, useful assessment of your nutritional health comes from combining all the evidence. It's the full report, not just a single snapshot that tells the real story. So I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on. When it comes to understanding your own health, are you okay with just glancing at the dashboard warning lights, or are you ready to really lift the hood and see what's going on inside?